So many players are focusing on the wrong things in the gym. Too many go in with the goal of looking good and a lack of focus on performance. And this one mistake may actually ruin your career. So clickbait aside, the gym isn't ruining your game, but your workouts are. When I look back at the older version of myself, I actually used to do this too often as well. I'd go to the gym, lift some weights, thinking that the improvements within my physique will lead to improvements on the pitch, which isn't actually the case. And saying that I was wrong would be an understatement. Of course, we all want to look good, and being confident plays a massive role on your performance. So, just maybe there is a small space for you to work on your physique to aid your performance. However, it should not be a priority when working out as a footballer. Before we get into the real stuff, I just wanted to disclaim that this video was made for educational purposes and does not replace professional judgment. There are countless topics within this whole subject, and let's start discussing them one by one. So what's the actual difference between working out for looks and performance? Well, you've probably heard us say countless times that footballers should not work out like bodybuilders, and that actually somewhat sums this up in, one short sentence. When you go into a gym, most of the time, the gym is mainly filled up with bodybuilders. And for the most part, most bodybuilders have the sole goal of getting big. Whereas footballers should develop and build their workout program solely for performance. Bodybuilders target the main muscle groups with mainly compound movements and just other ISO exercises. And they use a progressive overload with, calorie surplus and this deficit to gain body weight, turn that body weight into muscle mass, and then cut down so they look amazing. Whereas footballers need to think, what exercises will actually help me on the pitch? Now, this can change from player to player, so you need to start thinking like, okay, as a left back or right back, what movements am I doing often in a match, and what movements in the gym can actually aid those movements and improve them, improve the efficiency of them and whatnot. As a footballer and working out like a bodybuilder, whereas just trying to strengthen up the main muscle groups will more than likely simply lead to injury, as footballers use completely different other muscles and areas in the body to bodybuilders. In a football match, us footballers actually do put so much stress on our body in areas like the glutes, the hips, the groins, the hamstrings and whatnot, all areas that an average bodybuilder does not need to worry about nearly as much as we do. So we need to strengthen up these areas that we use a lot and put under a lot of stress in a match to aid the prevention of injury. And injury prevention is a massive factor in your longevity. Not only do we need to focus on performance, we need to focus on being able to continue to play. What I mean by that is we need to stay fit and healthy enough to actually be able to play. Staying healthy and fit, does actually depend on a lot of things, not just injury prevention, but injury prevention can play a big role in this. We need to focus on strengthening up the areas that we use in football quite a lot. Exercises like Nordics, Copenhagen's, side planks, and other variations of these exercises that I've just listed, as well as many others. These are all good injury prevention exercises just to start off and get a good idea of what some of these exercises can look like and how you can develop it on to other exercises and whatnot. Obviously, there are countless amount of exercises out there, but that was just a couple examples. However, it's not all about the exercises. You need to make sure you're having a very good and proper warm-up with a lot of dynamic stretches, and feel free to add some static stretches in there as well. Same goes for a cool down as well. You need to make sure you cool down, and here you can have a higher focus on the static stretches whilst doing some dynamic stretches as well. But for the cool down, you should slower your dynamic stretches down a lot and do them with a lot more control. Now, this is something we focus on for our clients within our mentorship program, and it genuinely excites me knowing that they no longer need to worry about how, when and what they need to do to aid their performance. We lay out all their work for them on a very simple format so they can use all their focus to work on their craft and improve as a footballer completely stress-free. And if you've ever wanted to try out our mentorship program, if you're watching this video right now, you're very lucky, because click the first link in our description and you can use the code YouTube to get 30% off your first month. Mobility can actually play a big role in your performance as well, and being mobile will 100% aid your performance no matter what sport you play. So make sure you get a good mobility regime as well in your program or your weekly schedule in general. Yoga is actually a good place and easy place to start with this. It's just to get you started on whatnot. And if you click in one of the corners right now, you can go over and watch our follow along yoga video. And again, it's just a great place for you to start, especially if you're a beginner. So how should a footballer actually work out? Well, we've spoken about replicating the movements you do on a pitch, and that is a great place to start, again, especially if you're a beginner to working out and whatnot. We get too many questions every single day on how to improve on this specific thing or that, etc. And the best way to improve at something is actually doing that thing. Next, compound movements. Now I know it may sound like this is going against everything I've said so far, but the basic compound movements can actually aid everyone. Squats, bench press, shoulder press, lunges, deadlifts if you know you have the right form, and along with some other exercises, these can all be beneficial, like I said, for everyone, athletes as well. You can't really go wrong with compound movements. But for footballers, you don't need to focus necessarily on chucking on as much weight as you can. Instead, truly focus on the movement and start thinking about how you can develop this compound movement into an explosive movement. For example, bench press, instead of trying to just lift the weight slowly, you can, bring it down slowly and then push up. And then you can try and use these examples for other exercises as well. Obviously, this won't work for every exercise. You can't really do an explosive lat pull down without breaking your spine in probably 86 places. Being explosive in football is a huge thing and a massive asset as a player, and it could be the difference between you beating your opponent in getting the ball from a through ball pass or something like that. Anything like jump squats, jump lunges, single leg hops, or anything like this are, again, a good place to start with this. Just to go back to my previous point, think about the exercises you're doing right now and think about how you can turn that into an explosive movement. There are many other topics we could discuss within this subject, but I didn't want to drag out this video too long. I think I've rambled enough. But if you do have any further questions, please let us know. Start a discussion with us. You may not necessarily agree with everything I said, which is okay. Every trainer, every coach has different beliefs and philosophies, and every trainer, despite how much experience they have, they're still learning every day, which is quite incredible actually. I hope you enjoyed the video nevertheless. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.